What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and the Fortnite Championship happened this weekend where young players of Fortnite won more money than any of us will probably make in a lifetime. But of course, that's not the story here on Monday. The problem is women didn't do it. That's right. The age-old incorrect assumption that there's some invisible barrier preventing women from being good at esports is trotted out every time young boys win cash in this video game. And we're going to take a look at some of the hilarious articles, some of the back and forth going on between urinalists around the Fortnite Championship this weekend. And we're going to have a little bit of fun today. That's right. So we start with an article that The Guardian wrote. Not one of the Fortnite World Cup's 100 finalists was a woman. Why? Well, I don't know. They didn't qualify, I assume. I mean, I'm just, call me a simpleton. And that would be fair. Perhaps I just, try to live my life understanding Occam's razor, and that the most common answer is the most likely answer is probably the answer. But that's not what video game journalists are paid to do. This weekend's the best Fortnite players. This weekend, the best Fortnite players in the world gathered at Flushing Meadows, New York, to compete in the game's first ever World Cup Finals for $30 million. Tens of thousands of spectators packed the famed Arthur Ashe Stadium to watch the action live, and many millions more viewed on Twitch, YouTube, and YouTube. Fortnite is, after all, one of the biggest entertainment brands on the planet, played by hundreds of millions. Amid all the hype and fanfare around the finals, however, one depressing fact remained unavoidable. Not a single one of the 100 finalists were female. Oh, get good, scrubs. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It's 2019. Get good. I mean, it was right back when that became a meme, and it's still right today. Get good. I don't want to hear about it. I mean, we could talk about the biological reasons why men are more competitive than women, and I could debunk you that way. But instead, we'll just look at the statement, the argument that you raised in your article, and we'll see how you might bring it up. Despite growing popularity of professional gaming throughout the world, the audience figures for competitive gaming have reached 450 million this year. Female competitors remain scarce. There certainly are high-profile examples of female pros, such as Sasha Hostin, and one of the most successful StarCraft 2 players in the world, Catherine Gunn, is the industry's highest-paid female pro gamer, and won the Sci-Fi Channel's reality TV show, WCG Ultimate Gamer. And Fortnite has stars such as One Shot Girl and Loya. But you could watch a year of big tournaments, whether it's Call of Duty, League of Legends, Hearthstone, and count the number of female competitors on one hand. Well, so the implication here is that that's incorrect, that's wrong, or that that it needs to be changed. You're talking about competitive sports, eSports, where the best rise to the top, the ones that are the most competitive, the ones that are the best at teamwork, the ones that are the best at the game. I don't think any of those are gendered issues. This isn't because women and girls aren't playing the game. The latest figures from the Entertainment Software Association shows that 46% of gamers are women, a figure reflected in several other recent studies. What? Okay, first of all, that may be true, all right? But your article's about Fortnite, all right? So just because 46% of players of video games are women, first of all, it doesn't mean that 46% of players of Fortnite are women, which we know is incorrect. It also means that 46% of competitive esports players aren't women. This is a false equivalency done to push a narrative. The female audience for esports is also growing. Figures collected by Nielsen suggest that almost a quarter of pro gaming audience is female, and in some part of the world it's much higher. So why aren't we seeing that reflected in the Fortnite World Cup? Well, just because women like to watch competitive esports doesn't mean they want to play it. I mean, I don't know at what point you're going to get to a point here or a valid argument, but I'm not seeing anything yet. The easy answer is no women qualified. Duh. The heats were entirely open and held online over 10 weeks. Okay, what do you want? 10 weeks, wide open to anybody who competed. Where's the problem? The best 100 players qualified. More than 40 million players competed with no age restrictions or gender. The pro gaming scene likes to present itself as a meritocracy where pure talent is all that matters. Likes to present itself. So this author thinks it isn't. That may be true in terms of abstract qualifying rules, but the real issue goes deeper. So disregard all the facts. Disregard all the factual evidence of the esports community and how people qualified. Listen to my spin. All right? Because my spin is what matters. Partly it's down to the culture of the hardcore video game communities, which are overwhelmingly dominated by young men. Isn't it possible that young men are just more interested in playing competitive video games? I mean, isn't it possible? In a world in 2019 where people are tripping over themselves to pave the way for females in streaming or YouTubing or esports or video games or STEM or game development. I mean, we just saw a story on Magic the Gathering last week where Wizards of the Coast employee was basically saying, look, if you're a guy, don't apply. I mean, I don't understand. The world could not be making it easier. Maybe it's just that they're not interested. Trash talk is standard in most online competitive games and can often cross over into insults. Rare is the female gamer who plays with unrestricted voice chat. So, voice chat is not relevant to being good at this game. Even when they're simply playing online with a group of strangers, women are sometimes belittled. So are men, by the way, but that's not the point he's trying to make. Meanwhile, the sponsorship and marketing of events is highly focused on male viewers. It's all energy drinks. What? Women drink energy drinks. Ads for ridiculously macho gaming joypads. Not the gamepads! Keyboards and mice with names like Viper and Hyperion. What? Oh my god, this article might be the most ridiculous I've ever read on the topic. Not the joypads! Ooh! Look, let me tell you something. This dude who's obviously never played competitive esports. By the way, I'm not a competitive esports player. I'm a filthy casual. But in my younger days, I was competitive at the games I played, and I didn't care what the stuff was called. I cared what was the best. I would research online. I would look at what the pros are using, and that's what I would buy. It could have been called the prettiest pink controller. It wouldn't matter if it was the best for the game. Anybody knows that. And any female gamer knows that too, by the way. When women do compete, they can find themselves under disproportionate and unwelcome scrutiny. In June 15th, okay, so whataboutism, right? One girl, one time, experienced something bad, therefore all girls will never play Fortnite. I don't understand this level of reach. But, I mean, this entire article is ridiculous. All right, and it's being universally and hilariously debunked by guys like Brad Glasgow. Profoundly dishonest article in The Guardian citing the ESA statistics for women playing video games. First, the ESA report is inaccurate. Second, even if 46% of women play video games, it doesn't mean 46% play Fortnite. Well, yeah. We know from Quantic Foundry statistics that games like Fortnite aren't that popular with women. All right, so we look at Match 3, Family Farm Sim, Casual Puzzle. This is percentage of gamers in each genre that are female. I don't know. Oh, Match 3 must be like Candy Crush or games like that. So they Match 3 and Family Farm Sim, Casual Puzzle, Atmospheric Exploration, Interactive Drama. MMOs is reasonably popular with females. But again, the statistics tell us that if we look way down here to tactical games, 4%. FPS games, 7%. All right, so if only 7% of females are interested in playing the game at all, you have overwhelmingly insignificant odds that they're going to make it in the competitive scene. Now, if you go to competitive Candy Crush or competitive Family or Farm Sim or competitive Atmospheric Exploration, it seems like you'd have a better chance of having female competitors. Mark Curran, often with excellent takes. I follow him on Twitter, and you should too, at Grums. I have a lot of respect for Paul Tassi. He really knows his stuff and plays games deeply. Paul says Fortnite World Cup suffers from too many males because Games have excluded women for decades, but this claim is not substantiated at all. Look back at 1996, where, according to Eidos, over 40% of original Tomb Raider audience was unexpectedly female. Now you go back to, you look at Paul's feed, of course, and we'll look at Paul's article in a second, but it's unbelievable. You could see Mark repeatedly dunking. Again, Paul is a fantastic games journalist. Please don't add him and let him accuse my fandom of bad things. I just want to point out one glaring assumption in both his tweet and the article that he failed to back up at all. Otherwise, he's 100% spot on with game analysis. And I just talked about Paul, who writes for Forbes, and in general, he is pretty good. Fortnite has an estimated 27 to 28% female player base. This is very high for a game that's centered around FPS stuff. So the implication in the article that Fortnite player base is not inclusive to women is inaccurate. And here is the actual data. Mark Kern shares the receipts. Distribution of players in Fortnite in the United States in April 2018 by gender. All right, so Fortnite disproportionately, compared to other games of its same makeup, appeals to women. So now we're going to look at Paul's article, which makes similar assumptions around the game, which is not backed by any actual evidence. We talk about these kids who made a fortune. This kid made $3 million for winning. It's unbelievable. I'm happy for him. And by the way, obviously the biggest story came to the World Cup. Kyle is only 16 years old, but that's not at all uncommon in the top 100 of solos, which is full of teenage competitors, including others like King, who racked up loads and placed 5th at only 13 years old. And I think he won $900,000 for that, if I remember right. So, however, so then let's look to this part. General gameplay. Okay, Tfue, talking about him. The boys. Let me be clear. This is not a Fortnite-specific issue, but we really did have a solos final with 100 male players and no women. By the way, that's because none qualified, not because they were excluded and as we talked about previously, the way that qualifications were open to everyone, okay? Naturally, I said this on Twitter yesterday, and it got me yelled at. The common pushback here is, well, it was an open tournament anyone could qualify for, and since women aren't actively banned from competing, that's the problem. But this misses the point of the root issue causing girls to not pick up games when they're younger. Disagree. Again, it's not about whether or not girls play the game. It's whether or not they're interested in highly competitive play, which obviously they're not. The statistics bear this out. Does that mean that no women like competitive esports? Of course not. But it does mean that an exceedingly small percentage of them do, and this is bared out year after year after year after year, no matter what virtue signaling journalists and game developers do to continue to pave the way for them to have an easier way to get in, as we've seen with the Magic the Gathering community. It doesn't matter. When the chips are down and you have to compete, there's just more men playing the game. That's not a bad thing. Women have just as good of a chance to get into it, as we've seen. As actively competing, what's the problem? But this misses the point. The root issue is causing girls to not pick up games. Again, as we've seen, according to some data, which again is at best flawed, but the data that they quote says 46% of women play video games. So your real point is that you have a problem with women that don't want to play competitive esports. What's wrong with that? It's about making choices, right? Again, I'm not laying this on Epic. It's just a problem across many, many esports. It was particularly notable in this final. Things are improving, to be sure, at least where they were from a decade ago. One of the best non-gameplay stories of this weekend was a 13-year-old deaf Fortnite pro, Ewok, being signed as FaZe's first female member ever. And yet, no, I don't think that's a terribly controversial position. That there's still more work to do. Now, playing these games without being able to hear seems like it would be pretty difficult. But again, these are open competitions, and just wait, there will be significantly more articles about this, and then will come the articles about how, toxic male gamers are evil and things like this. Ultimately, the story from this weekend is the amazing success of Fortnite as an esport. Even I don't really watch any esports. I have zero interest in it, but I'm obviously not in the majority there, or at least maybe in the age group that is interested in that. I don't even play Fortnite. So that's, obviously part of it. If I don't play the game, I feel like I would be significantly less interested in it. That doesn't mean I wouldn't be, but esports are going to be back on mainstream TV again, and boomers will be complaining about that. But you can't deny the good that esports does for this community, and that brings these kids an opportunity to make like NFL player level money. Good on you, all the winners of Fortnite. Good on you for everyone that competed. And don't buy into some of these articles that are painting the Fortnite community as anything but open to everybody. As we can see, the way that people qualified is obviously open. And there's no way of knowing anything about anybody who competes, who enters to compete this. So congratulations, Fortnite millionaires. I'll be here in my basement making more videos. Hope you enjoyed this one, though. We'll talk to you again real soon.